Ati kia ora tātou kei roto I te whare. Tū tātou ana ngā mihi mō te atea ki tērā o ngā kuia. A kuia Bartlett, te uri a te ako ngā mohi. Nāna I kawe mai I tēnei take ki mua ngā mema pāramata I te wāhi a repu te kāwanatanga. Me te mihi anō ki te minita, me tōna kaha ki te whakapauahi ara tēnei kaupapa ki otiai te ngā pōraruhanga. I wānganui I ngā uri o te kuiora. Mr. Speaker, may I first congratulate the Minister of Māori Affairs who boldly brought this bill to the House, and particularly as it refers to the estate of Puke Puke Tangiora. And I'm aware that the Minister has a relationship with this particular whānau. I am familiar with him myself, and during my time as Associate Minister of Treaty Negotiations and also a member of the Māori Affairs Select Committee, I had on a number of occasions met with Kuia Bartlett to talk about how this injustice could be rectified, as she put it in her own words. And the whānau of Puke Puke Tangiora considered this an injustice because the Crown had intervened in a way that it should not have. Regardless of the reasons, the uri of this particular kuia, responsible for their inheritance and her estate, were quite capable at that time in the 1940s of representing and taking care of this estate to the best of their ability and for the benefit of future generations or future beneficiaries. And so I warmly remember the old kuia, who I visited at her home in Hawke's Bay on the sunny coastline of Ocean Beach. A nice conversation, a nice afternoon tea, and beautiful old lady with a lot to talk about, and shared her life stories with me. And so I congratulate the Minister in this bold move. I did it in our term as government, did attempt to try and alleviate the concerns of the old lady by driving the matter to the similar stage that the Minister has come to today, unsuccessfully, but that is of no importance at this stage because it's here now, and future generations of the descendants of Puke Puke Tangiora will make their own decisions and based on a strong concern for the well-being of their future generations, and so I congratulate the Minister. The bill also, Mr. Speaker, and should I say that the Labour opposition will be supporting the bill. There are some very, very good amendments to the 4 acts in question. But I have to say to the Minister, this is an opportunity to where he could have freed up for example, the land management requirements of the Ture Whenua Māori and the Māori Land Court to a point where we could have addressed the issues around Māori land utilisation rather than retention, because the two do collide with each other, and there are some issues that need to be discussed around that particular part of or some particular parts of the Ture Whenua Māori. But I'll come to that later. In terms of the Māori Trust Boards Act, I was having a discussion with General Manager of one of our local Bay of Plenty Trust Boards earlier this afternoon. The same concerns have been expressed by that General Manager as have been expressed by a number of managers and trustees on trust boards around the country, and that the Minister of Māori Affairs had far too much control over the day-to-day business of trust boards. They themselves had wished that a more commercial model had been put in place for them to be guided by, but instead the Crown decided, in its wisdom some years back in 1955, that perhaps Māori were not in the right frame of mind to have total responsibility over their lives, and so introduced an act that had really the very, very long paternal apron strings attached to it. And so, once again, it's a very, very bold move. But I have to say that, I said earlier on, this is an opportunity lost. In Māori unemployment now is at 16% and rising. Māori land in all around the country is hugely underutilised, and much of the blame for that can be attributed to the Act, and that the Act looks more at land retention rather than land utilisation. And as I said before, the two collide with each other. This would have been a great opportunity for the Minister of Māori Affairs to have a thorough examination of those barriers within the Act, the Ture Whenua Māori, with a view towards freeing the Act up to a degree where landowners, land trustees, and corporations and societies were in a position to make more bold decisions, were able to negotiate with banks and with lending institutions a way forward on mortgages and what have you. And the other opportunity lost in this particular case is around Māori housing. And the Minister may be aware that under the former Māori Affairs Department, many Māori land blocks were developed to accommodate for Māori housing in the urban and rural areas. That is no longer the case. The provisions within the Māori Land Act were tightened to a point where a consensus of 75% must be reached before any major decisions can be made, and that in itself is a very, very difficult barrier to overcome. This was that opportunity. I did have some discussions with Te Puni Kōkiri staff a little while back, and put a proposal to them about how land could be freed up for Māori housing. I gave them the Bay of Plenty or Tauranga Western Bay of Plenty examples of where land was available but could not be developed properly for housing because of the limitations within the Ture Whenua Māori. And while the amendments to the current Act deals with minor issues in terms of administration, it does absolutely nothing whatsoever to alleviate the strain on Māori housing. And as the Minister would know, that through the 60s and 70s and part of the 80s, that Māori housing projects did also alleviate Māori unemployment and did accommodate to a very high degree Māori trade training. So this was an opportunity for the Minister to have revisit that arrangement, to look at a complete package that would include not only Māori land development, but Māori employment, and alleviate the strain on Māori housing. This is, like I say, it's an opportunity lost, but hopefully that he will consider this very issue in the next 12 months and put in some appropriate policies that may satisfy Māori landowners and the very high unemployment Māori population, that the Minister is actually doing something constructive to alleviate their situation. But I wait in anticipation. I want to revisit some of the points that I mentioned earlier on, particularly around Māori trust boards. The Honourable Georgina Te Hauhau did say that this bill is actually very timely. I'm saying that it's well overdue. In fact, Māori trust boards around the country are looking at reconfiguring themselves, reconstructing themselves, repealing their current legislation with the support of the current Minister, with a view toward severing those apron strings so that they themselves can have total responsibility over their daily business activities. I mean, as the Minister touched on, it's ridiculous that a trust board has to notify the Minister of Māori Affairs before it can undertake some not even what I would consider major expenditure, and I forget what the limit is, Minister, but you might be able to enlighten me on that. But it isn't a great deal. It isn't a great deal, and if a private company had to operate on the same grounds and expected to make a sound investment that would benefit its beneficiaries on a wider scale, then this is not the way to go about it. And I look forward to the Minister acknowledging that and introducing more changes in the months to come. A good example that he might like to refer to was the disestablishment, the repeal of the Te Arawa Māori Trust Board Act and replaced by the Te Arawa Lakes Trust Act, which was driven through this House by the former Minister of Māori Affairs, and essentially freed up the activities of the Te Arawa Lakes Trust to actually perform its undertakings and its responsibilities in a more commercial way. And by all accounts, I understand that they are doing very well, and the projected returns into the future are looking very, very good. And so, Minister, while I say congratulations on bringing this omnibus bill to the House, covering a lot of amendments to various acts, I still think that it's an opportunity lost. but you still have time to cover up that ground and bring something to the House.
Sorry to interrupt the honourable member.